Have you ever felt like heaven has gone silent? Like you've been praying, waiting, believing, but nothing seems to be changing? Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and deep inside you begin to wonder if your breakthrough will ever come. But listen carefully, just because God is quiet does not mean he is absent. Silence is not rejection. Delay is not denial. There are seasons when God keeps you waiting because he is preparing something greater than what you asked for. Right now, there are people watching this video who are on the edge of giving up. You've cried in private. You've smiled in front of people while carrying battles nobody knows about. You've asked God, when will it be my turn? And today, this message is your confirmation that your waiting season is not wasted. Something is shifting behind the scenes. Doors you cannot see are being arranged. Opportunities you never imagined are moving toward your life. God is saying, wait a little longer. Do not walk away now. To lose your faith at the final moment. The surprise you prayed for is closer than you think. Because before every major blessing, there is always a season of testing. Before elevation comes preparation. And before the reward appears, patience must complete its work in you. This is not the time to doubt yourself. This is the time to strengthen your spirit. The delay was building your character, your wisdom, your endurance, and your trust. What is coming into your life will be worth every tear, every sleepless night, and every moment you thought nothing was happening. So stay with me until the end of this message, because what you are about to hear may be exactly what your soul needs today. There is a reason why God does not operate according to human schedules. People want instant answers, instant success, instant healing, and instant change. But God works through timing, because timing shapes destiny. Many people become frustrated not because God said no, but because he said, nah, yet. And the hardest thing for the human heart is learning how to trust God in the middle of the waiting season. You may be looking at your life right now and wondering why certain doors have not opened. You prayed, you believe, you worked hard, yet nothing seems to be moving. But what you cannot see is that God is protecting you from receiving something before you are ready to handle it. A blessing received too early can become a burden instead of a reward. That is why divine timing matters. Think about a farmer planting seeds into the ground. The farmer does not wake up the next morning expecting a harvest. There is a process. The seed must first disappear beneath the soil. It must survive darkness before it can break through into the light. And during that hidden season, something powerful is happening underneath the surface. Roots are developing. Strength is forming. Preparation is taking place. In the same way, God is developing you in places nobody can see. Many people miss you. Understand delay. They think delay means abandonment. But delay often means development. God delays certain things because he is aligning the right people, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances for your future. If certain blessings had arrived earlier, you would not have had the wisdom, maturity, or strength to sustain them. Sometimes the greatest act of love from God is not giving you what you want immediately. There are moments when you feel forgotten because heaven seems quiet. But silence does not mean inactivity. A teacher is often silent during a test. God watches to see if you will trust him even when you cannot trace him. Faith becomes powerful when it survives uncertainty. Anybody can believe when everything is working. But real spiritual growth happens when you keep believing while nothing around you makes sense. God's timing is never random. It is intentional. He sees things you cannot see. He knows conversations that are happening behind closed doors. WS dangers you avoided without realizing it. He knows the future waiting ahead of you. That is why your responsibility is not to control the timing. Your responsibility is to remain faithful in the process. Some of the strongest people you admire today were built in seasons of waiting. Waiting taught them patience. Waiting taught them discipline. Waiting taught them dependence on God instead of dependence on emotions. The waiting season changes a person. It teaches you how to stand firm when life becomes uncomfortable. And maybe this message today is reminding you not to quit too soon, because many people walk away right before the breakthrough arrives. They stop praying one day before the answer comes. They lose hope one moment before the miracle appears. But God is saying, stay in position. Keep your heart steady. Keep moving forward. What I promised you still stands. You must understand that God's clock is different from yours. Humans count minutes, but God counts purpose. What feels late to you may actually be perfectly on time in the spiritual realm. There are blessings connected to specific seasons, and if they arrive outside of that season, they lose their full impact. That is why God waits until everything is aligned before he releases what he prepared for you. So instead of complaining about the delay, begin thanking God for the preparation. Instead of asking, why is this taking so long, begin asking, what is God teaching me during this season? Because every delay contains a lesson, every waiting season contains growth, and every moment of patience is building strength inside your spirit. God is saying to you today, wait a little longer. Not because he forgot you, but because what is coming is bigger than you imagined. The timing will make sense one day. When the surprise finally arrives, you will realize that God was never late. He was always right on time. Faith is easy when life is going the way you expect. When doors are opening, when prayers are being answered quickly, and when everything around you feels secure. But the true test of faith begins when heaven seems silent, when days become heavy, when opportunities disappear, when you cannot understand why the answer has not arrived yet. That is the moment where many people lose hope. But God is saying that the delay is not the end of your story. There are people listening right now who have been carrying silent battles for a long time. You wake up every morning trying to stay strong, but deep inside you are tired of waiting. You have asked God the same question again and again. How much longer? And sometimes the hardest pain is not rejection. It is uncertainty. It is not knowing when things will change. Yet this is exactly where faith becomes powerful. Faith is not believing only after you see results. Faith is believing before the evidence appears. It is trusting God while the situation still looks impossible. Anyone can trust when the outcome is visible. But real faith stands firm even when there are no signs, no confirmation, and no immediate breakthrough. Faith says, even if I do not understand the process, I still trust the one who controls it. Many people think waiting is weakness. But waiting with faith is one of the greatest forms of spiritual strength. It takes strength to keep praying when nothing changes. It takes strength to keep moving forward when disappointment keeps visiting your life. It takes strength to worship while carrying unanswered questions. And every moment you refuse to quit, your spirit becomes stronger. Sometimes God allows delays because He is teaching you to depend on Him completely. Human nature wants control. We want to know every detail of the future. We want guarantees, but faith requires surrender. Faith means trusting that God can see what you cannot see. It means believing that even when life feels confusing, God is still arranging things for your good. Think about how gold. LD is purified. Gold must go through intense fire before it becomes valuable. Without the fire, the impurities remain. In the same way, delays often become the fire that strengthens your character. They reveal whether your trust depends on circumstances or whether your trust truly depends on God. The waiting season exposes fear, impatience, doubt, and insecurity, but it also creates endurance, wisdom, and spiritual maturity. You may feel like nothing is happening, but God is still working behind the scenes. While you are waiting, He is preparing people, opportunities, connections, and blessings that are moving toward your future. Some prayers take time because they require preparation. God will never release a blessing that destroys you. He prepares your heart before He places you into the next season of your life. There are moments when delay can make you feel forgotten. You look at other people succeeding while your own prayers remain unanswered. You compare your timeline to someone else's timeline and begin questioning your worth. But comparison is dangerous because God writes different stories for different people. Someone else's season is not your season. Your assignment, your preparation, and your purpose are unique. The enemy wants you to become discouraged during the delay because he knows that hopeless people stop expecting miracles. Once a person loses expectation, they lose momentum. That is why you must protect your faith during difficult seasons. Speak life over yourself even when emotions tell you to give up. Remind yourself that God has not abandoned you. Remind yourself that delays are temporary. Remind yourself that every promise still has power. Sometimes the greatest victory is simply refusing to quit, refusing to stop believing, refusing to let disappointment control your heart. Because breakthroughs often happen after the season where you felt closest to surrendering. The darkest hour usually comes before the sunrise. God is saying to you too, do not allow the delay to destroy your faith. What has taken time is not being denied. Your waiting season is producing something greater inside you. One day you will look back at this difficult chapter and realize that the delay was building the strength you needed for the blessing that was coming. And when the surprise finally arrives, your faith will be stronger than ever before. One of the greatest mistakes people make during difficult seasons is believing that nothing good is happening. When life becomes painful, when prayers seem unanswered, and when progress feels invisible, the human mind immediately assumes that God has stopped working. But many of God's greatest blessings begin in hidden places. Long before the breakthrough becomes visible, something powerful is already being prepared behind the scenes. There are blessings in your life right now that you cannot yet see. Opportunities are being arranged. Certain people are being positioned. Certain doors are being purchased. Prepare it. And while you are worrying about what has not happened yet, heaven is already moving in your favor. The problem is that most people only trust what their eyes can see. But spiritual growth teaches you to trust even in hidden seasons. God often works in silence before he works in public. Think about how a tree grows. Before anyone sees branches, leaves, or fruit, roots are developing underground. Nobody celebrates the roots because they are invisible, yet the roots are the most important part. Without strong roots, the tree cannot survive storms. In the same way, God uses hidden seasons to build strength inside you before revealing the blessing outside of you. Many people want visible success without hidden preparation. They want the reward without the process. They want elevation without character. But God is more concerned about who you are becoming than simply what you receive. Because if your character is weak, the blessing itself can destroy you. That is why hidden seasons. S matter. They shape your heart, your mindset, and your spiritual endurance. You may feel overlooked today. You may feel like nobody notices your effort, your sacrifices, or your prayers. But God sees every silent battle you have fought. He sees the tears nobody else saw. He sees the nights you stayed faithful even when you felt discouraged. And just because people do not recognize your growth does not mean heaven ignores it. Some of the greatest transformations happen privately before they become visible publicly. There are moments when delays actually protect you from things you are not ready for yet. Imagine receiving a massive opportunity while still carrying the wrong mindset. Imagine stepping into success without emotional maturity or spiritual discipline. The very thing you prayed for could end up crushing you. That is why God sometimes hides blessings until the right moment arrives. Hidden blessings also require trust. Faith means believing that God is still active even when circumstances appear unchanged. It means understanding that silence is not emptiness. A seed buried in the ground looks lifeless from the outside, but underneath the soil, growth is happening every single day. In the same way, your future may already be developing even though you cannot yet see the evidence. Some people become bitter during hidden seasons because they focus only on what they lost. But hidden seasons are not always punishment. Often they are preparation. God removes distractions, separates you from unhealthy environments, and allows certain doors to close because He is leading you towards something greater. What feels like loss today may actually become protection tomorrow. There are blessings that only arrive after patience has completed its work. Imagine how many people would quit if they knew how close they were to their breakthrough. Sometimes the answer is only one season away, one opportunity away, one connection away, one moment away. But discouragement blinds people from recognizing how near they truly are. God is saying, do not judge your future by your current situation. Your present struggle does not define your final destination. Just because life looks empty today does not mean heaven is empty. Something is shifting in places you cannot see. The blessing is hidden, but it is not absent. And one day, the surprise God prepared for you will suddenly become visible. The same people who doubted you will wonder how your life changed so quickly. What they will not understand is that the miracle did not begin overnight. It began during the hidden season when God was quietly building your future while nobody was watching. So keep trusting, keep praying, keep moving forward. Hidden blessings are still blessings. And sometimes the greatest miracles are the ones God prepares in silence before revealing them at the perfect time. Many people pray for elevation, success, influence, and breakthrough, but very few are willing to go through prepper, ration. Everyone wants to promise, but not everyone wants to process. Yet God understands something that humans often ignore. If a person rises too quickly without preparation, they can lose everything just as fast. That is why God will often develop your character before He changes your position. There are seasons in life where it feels like nothing important is happening. You feel stuck in routine. You feel overlooked. You feel like your prayers are delayed while others seem to move ahead. But what you call delay, God may call preparation. Because before every major promotion, there is always a hidden season where strength, wisdom, patience, and discipline are being formed inside you. A building cannot rise high without a strong foundation. The taller the building, the deeper the foundation must go. In the same way, the size of your future assignment determines the intensity of your preparation. God is not only preparing the blessing for you, He is preparing you for the blessing. And sometimes the preparation takes longer because the calling on your life is greater than you realize. Many people ask God for opportunities, but opportunities come with responsibility. Success exposes weaknesses that comfort can hide. Power exposes character. Influence exposes integrity. That is why preparation matters so much. If your mindset is not ready, your emotions are not stable, or your spirit is not grounded, the pressure of success can break you. Think about athletes preparing for competition. Nobody becomes strong overnight. There are long hours of training, discipline, sacrifice, repetition, and pain before the victory becomes visible. The public only celebrates the final result, but the real transformation happened in private. In the same way, God often trains people in hidden seasons before bringing them into public purpose. Sometimes preparation feels uncomfortable because it requires stretching. God may allow challenges that force you to grow beyond your current limitations. He may place you in situations where your patience is tested, where your faith is stretched, and where your endurance is developed. Not because He wants to harm you, but because He is strengthening you for what is ahead. You may not realize it now, but every difficult season has been teaching you something valuable. The betrayal taught you discernment. The delay taught you patience. The struggle taught you dependence on God. The disappointment taught you emotional strength. Nothing was wasted. Every experience became part of your preparation. There are also moments when God removes certain people from your life because they cannot go where you are going. Some relationships are connected only to a temporary season. If God allowed everyone to remain, they could interfere with your growth. Preparation often requires separation. It requires solitude. It requires moments where you learn how to stand strong even without constant approval from others. One of the hardest parts of preparation is trusting the process when you cannot yet see results. Human nature wants immediate rewards. But God builds gradually because gradual growth creates lasting strength. A tree that grows too fast without deep roots can collapse during the first storm. But a tree that develops slowly becomes strong enough to survive difficult seasons. You must stop seeing preparation as punishment. Preparation is evidence that God cares about your future. If He did not care, He would allow you to enter situations before you were ready. But because He loves you, He develops your character first. He teaches you humility before influence. He teaches you discipline before abundance. He teaches you faithfulness before expansion. And maybe right now you are in the middle of that preparation season. You feel unseen. You feel frustrated. You wonder why life is taking so long to change. But God is saying, do not despise this season. What I am building inside you now will sustain what I place inside and your hands later. One day the promotion will arrive, the doors will open, the opportunities will come. And when that moment happens, you will realize that the waiting season was necessary, because the blessing itself was not the greatest miracle. The greatest miracle was the person you became during the preparation process. So remain faithful where you are. Keep growing, keep learning, keep trusting. Because preparation always comes before promotion, and God never wastes a season when He is building someone for greatness. There comes a moment in every person's life when the waiting season feels unbearable. You have prayed for so long that you start questioning whether anything will ever change. You wake up carrying hope one day and disappointment the next. You try to stay positive, but deep inside there's a battle between faith and frustration. Yet even in that difficult place, God is whispering something powerful to your spirit. Your surprise is near. Many people give up because they cannot see what God is doing behind the scenes. Human vision is limited. We judge our future by our current circumstances. If we do not see immediate movement, we assume nothing is happening. But heaven does not operate according to human sight. God often works quietly before He works suddenly. What looks like delay to you may actually be divine positioning for a breakthrough you never expected. Think about how suddenly seasons change. One day the trees look empty and lifeless, and then almost overnight, new growth begins to appear. The process was happening all along, even though nobody could see it. In the same way, your life may seem unchanged today, but hidden movement is already taking place. The blessing is closer than you realize. Sometimes God waits until the final moment because He wants your trust to grow deeper. Anyone can believe when answers come quickly, but when faith survives delay, it becomes unshakable. The waiting season transforms people. It teaches endurance. It teaches dependence on God instead of emotions. It teaches you how to stand strong even when life feels uncertain. There are people watching this message right now who feel emotionally exhausted. You have carried burdens silently. You have smiled while secretly fighting discouragement. You have watched other people receive blessings while your own prayers seemed unanswered. And if you are honest, there were moments when you almost gave up completely. But what if this difficult season is happening because you are closer to your breakthrough than ever before? The enemy always attacks hardest when a person is near transformation. Doubt increases, fear becomes harder, frustration grows. Why? Because darkness wants you to quit before the blessing arrives. Many people walk away during the final stage of the process because they mistake pressure for failure. But pressure does not always mean defeat. Sometimes pressure means something powerful is about to be born. God specifically idolizes an unexpected miracles. He opens doors nobody can shut. He creates opportunities that human logic cannot explain. One phone call can change your life. One conversation can redirect your future. One unexpected moment can shift years of struggle into a season of restoration. That is why you cannot afford to lose hope now. The surprise God prepared for you may arrive in a way you never imagined. You must also understand that God's surprises are often bigger than your original expectations. Sometimes the delay existed because you were praying too small. You asked for survival while God was preparing abundance. You asked for a temporary solution while God was preparing complete transformation. Heaven sees beyond your limited vision. God knows what is truly needed for your destiny. This is why you must remain spiritually alert during waiting seasons. Discouragement can blind people from recognizing opportunities when they finally appear. If your heart becomes filled with bitterness, fear, or hopelessness, you may miss the very blessing you prayed for. Stay expectant. Stay prayerful. Stay open to what God is doing. There's also something powerful about believing before the evidence appears. Expectation creates spiritual momentum. When you wake up believing that something good can happen, your mindset shifts, your energy shifts, your perspective shifts. Faith allows you to endure difficult seasons without becoming defeated by them. God is saying to you today, do not stop now. Do not lose faith at the edge of your breakthrough. The tears were not wasted. The delay was not meaningless. The struggle was not permanent. Everything you experience has been leading toward this next chapter of your life. And one day, very soon, what once felt impossible will suddenly become reality. The answer will come. The door will open. The burden will lift. And when it happens, you will realize that God was faithful the entire time. Your surprise is near, so wait a little longer. Keep believing and prepare your heart for what heaven is about to release into your life. As this message comes to an end, remember this. Your life is not falling apart just because things are taking longer than expected. Some of God's greatest works happen in seasons where nothing seems to make sense. The waiting season is not proof that you have been forgotten. It is proof that heaven is still working on your behalf. Do not allow temporary frustration to make you abandon permanent promises. Stay faithful even when progress feels slow. Stay prayerful even when answers seem delayed. Stay hopeful even when your emotions try to convince you to quit. Because every day you continue believing, you are moving one step closer to the breakthrough God already prepared for you. One day you will look back at this season and understand why the timing had to happen this way. You will realize that the delay protected you, prepared you, strengthened you, and positioned you for something great. Than you imagine. What feels heavy today will eventually become part of the testimony that inspires someone else tomorrow. God is saying, wait a little longer. Keep your heart steady. Keep trusting me. The surprise is closer than you think. And when that blessing finally arrives, it will carry a joy, peace, and purpose that makes every difficult moment worth enduring. So do not lose faith now. Your story is still unfolding. Your prayers are still being heard. Your future is still in God's hands. And the same God who brought you this far will not fail you in the next chapter of your life. If this message touched your heart today, take a moment to declare with faith, I will wait on God's timing because I know my blessing is coming. And never forget, sometimes the greatest miracles arrive after the hardest waiting seasons.